So now these top ones are loose, and if you start moving this, you can kind of finagle it around, and here's the cutter sliding out of this slot. Now you have to kind of get everything in the right position, but it will come out like so. And then you can just pull your cutter off of it. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it, I did not buy this particular machine brand new, it was used. I picked it up in a lot off of eBay that had some other items with it, just to get me started, and it was a little bit of a better deal than if I sourced things out individually. Now, I took it apart originally just to clean it all up, and what I found, this is actually the original cutter in it, and I don't know if you can see this, but they're actually cracked right here where these pins are sticking up. I mean, to the point of utter failure. And you can see I just popped that piece off right there. What that is from or caused by, I'm guessing, I know I didn't do it, but when this machine, if you get the hopper too full and you're going through your injection stroke and you feel a lot of tension, do not force it through, because there is a lot of pressure that gets put on this plastic piece, and that's what you get. Now you can buy these parts online, so you can service your own machines, which is another benefit. The parts themselves are relatively inexpensive. The shipping will kind of get you. I believe that the cutter that I sourced online was $6, I believe, but $6 and for the cutter, and then $7 on shipping. Got kind of out of hand there, so I went ahead and bought some extra components. I bought a new spoon. I don't really know how much this cost. It might have been $3 or $4. Not real positive on that. And I went ahead and bought an extra cutter, you know, just for the wearable parts. Now another wearable part on it is this little rubber boot right here. Well, I went ahead and ordered one. I think it was 40 cents, but this is nothing more than a vacuum cap, like you'd find underneath the hood of your car plugging up a port or something. You can get these at the automotive store. Just go in there and look, and you can probably do a little bit better on those, or at least not have to pay shipping on it. Okay, so with that being said, you know, if you do have a cutter that is busted, or you know, maybe you break the arm on your spoon, you can get replacement parts. You don't necessarily need to buy a whole new machine. So now we've got it pretty much almost disassembled, except for this assembly right here. Now you can go ahead and pull your little rubber cap off and set it aside, and these are going to be, I believe, 1/4 inch as well, and they are. Okay, one of these is fairly loose. Now it's the one where the arm pivots, and you can see that under just light pressure that will move. Now if I were to tighten that up, you can see now that it does not move. So that is one key adjustment, just to get it to where it is nice and free, but not too free where it wobbles all over the place. See, right there is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off the one for the pivot point. There's a nut and a little half round washer underneath it. I'm going to set that aside. Now I should be able to pick this up, and to get it out you may have to turn it around this way, and then it will pop out into your hand. So now, aside from this one particular plastic bushing here, which I see absolutely no need to take that out unless for some reason you broke it and you needed to replace it, that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to get into that. So the final piece here would be this particular piece, and you probably will not need to take it all the way down unless you just absolutely want to. But I'm going to go ahead and take this apart so you can see the reference marks I made right here. So those first 3 marks that we made will ensure you can get it back together exactly where it was in the event you just do something utterly wrong, but it's really not that hard to figure out. So now you can see here we've got a little pile of parts amassed, which can look fairly intimidating, but it's really not. It's a real simple machine. So this would be a good time to kind of inspect everything, make sure nothing's, extremely bent. A lot of these parts are steel, of course, so they're fairly robust. But you can go ahead and examine them. Some of them are bent by manufacturing, like this real small angle right here in this. That is not a flaw. That's actually the way that piece was made. This particular arm here has got a small cant in it that I can see right there on mine, and I believe this is a little bent on mine, maybe from the previous owner applying too much pressure and that thing just bent. So I'll address that later to keep this a little shorter. So once you get everything cleaned up, let's just start going back together with it. And it's kind of a reverse of what we just did, but we're going to go ahead and do it through and through so people will feel comfortable. Before I do that, this is the actual adjuster right here, and there's a spring. Hopefully everything comes out. I'm going to move this out of the way, and there are 3 little holes here that this little indent goes into right there. And that's where you would get your regular size, your kings, and your hundreds. And what that does is, in essence, adjust this cam right here to change when the arm releases the tube. So since I'm working with kings, I'm going to put this in the middle and just leave it there. For hundreds, you'll have to play with it in the correct location. Now this is related to kings. That's all I smoke and inject. I don't do hundreds, but most of the information may apply, but you might have to play around with it just a little bit. So going back together, a lot of these parts are metal on metal. You can, if you choose to, use just a little light drop of 3-in-1 oil to act as a lubricant. I'm not going to put any on mine right now, but I may do that here on my own. So let's start with this tube lever, and you stick it into the hole, turn it around, and then drop it over that pin right there, and you can see that it is back in place. Then grab one of your half moon washers, stick it on, grab your little nut, and this will be our first actual adjustment. There are really only 2 on the machine that I can think of off the top of my head that you need to be concerned with, and this is one of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tighten this up into where it does not move. I can move it by really applying pressure, and then I'm just going to slowly back it up a little bit at a time until I get it to where it's free. And it's just easier to do it that way than trying to tighten it up to get all of the slop out of it. Now you can see I've got a nice easy motion right here, but then again, it's not just flopping around. So from there, we'll grab our selector lever, and you'll stick it through the hole and stick it over that little post right there. Grab one more of the half moon washers, and in my case I'm just going to go ahead and put this on and tighten it up, but I'll get to showing how to adjust this here directly after we get everything put back together. I'm just going to go ahead and lock it in so it's not flopping around on me. You can even put this in as the last piece if you choose to. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of work in a chronological order as the way the machine operates. So it was